confidence that I have in my body, this not thinking about being in a bathing suit, this confidence in the routine that I'm currently in, it did not come from losing weight. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sweatable podcast. My name is Brooks Herbis, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you simplify and make sense out of the all too confusing fitness and nutrition industry. Let's be real, there's a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change. But I'll also be sharing real-life practical application, because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can actually apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. What's up, you guys? I am so excited to be here recording these episodes because, to be honest, it has been not the best start to the week. In my early 20s in college, I actually had I was very pessimistic. And I really catastrophized a lot of things. Everything was worst case scenario. If something bad happened, I wasn't able to move on from it very quickly. And what I think is really cool about cultivating a growth mindset in your health and fitness journey and building up your self-efficacy. And if you're not familiar, self-efficacy is kind of your belief in your ability to overcome obstacles and succeed anyways. And what's really cool about, cultivating that growth mindset, building up your self-efficacy when it comes to your health and fitness journey is that it actually starts to translate to other areas of your life. And I have clients who mention this pretty frequently. They're like, well, I believe that I can be successful with all these health and fitness things. So it's started to translate to more belief in my ability to succeed in work. I've got my finances together. It's really cool to see how having that growth mindset, building up your self-efficacy, really starts to translate to every area of your life. And I've definitely seen that for myself. Now I would say I'm pretty optimistic, and I have this mindset of everything is figure outable. So if something doesn't go the way that I anticipated it, or something not the best or negative happens, I don't really dwell on it. It's more of, I kind of view it as a challenge. Okay, how do I want to handle this moving forward? How do I want to approach it? Because it isn't super fun to go through life with a really negative mindset and just always, catastrophizing everything, thinking that everything is going to continue to go wrong. So that is not at all what I'm talking about today. That was just a little side tangent. If you guys want me to talk more about cultivating a growth mindset, what that means for your health and fitness journey, how that translates to other things, I definitely can. But today we are actually talking about how my own fitness journey, so I guess it kind of relates to what I just said, but after years of yo-yo dieting, what actually helped me lose weight? What helped me get out of that cycle of losing the 20 pounds, gaining it all back, feeling like I was starting over every Monday after trying every diet in the book? What was the shift that really got me to this place of long-term maintenance that I've honestly been in for about 8 years now? And what really got me thinking about this is a few weeks ago, we were in Mexico for Michael's birthday, and not the last time I had been to Mexico for work, but one of the other times that I was in Mexico was for my senior year of college spring break. And being back in Mexico, being back on a beach trip, really had me contrasting how I handled this last trip compared to how I prepped for spring break my senior year of college. And that was 10 years ago. And I'm really happy to say that my relationship with food and exercise has changed quite a bit since then. And I really want to dive into what the difference was and why this trip just felt so much better in so many ways. And senior year of college was really when I was in my deep yo-yo dieting cycle. I was pretty constantly trying to lose 10 pounds, and for the most part being unsuccessful. And I do remember before this trip, I had lost like a decent amount of weight that semester, but it still didn't feel like enough. So before this trip, like I remember I was Googling how to lose weight in 1 week, like how to lose weight quickly. The suggestions were, of course, super restrictive and not super realistic. And now I would never apply these things. But, when I was a senior year of college, I was deep in that yo-yo dieting cycle. I was just trusting everything that I saw online and I wanted to look good in my bathing suit. So I did them. I tried to cut out carbs for a whole week, which didn't actually follow through on that because I was still drinking, but thought I cut out carbs. I increased my workouts. Senior year of college, I was actually doing 2 workouts a day. I would take a spin class and then I would take this class called Total Body Tone. And I just made sure I was continuing to do that and adding a little bit more cardio. And still on that trip, I wasn't satisfied. Like I still didn't feel super comfortable in my bathing suit. I remember like every photo that was taken, I was just like zooming in to look at my stomach because I hated that I had belly fat and I was like, do I look okay in this photo? And that is a not fun place to be in. And of course, none of the cutting out carbs, the increasing workouts, like none of that was done in the pursuit of actually wanting to be any healthier. It was purely done for weight loss. It was only for aesthetic reasons. I only wanted to look good in my bathing suit. So, and that was like the summary of my whole health and fitness journey at that phase of my life. I was not trying to do these things to be healthier. I was not trying to do these things to feel better. My only goal for exercising, for eating in a certain way, it was only done to lose weight. So, of course, the results were never sustainable. And the second that I got back to school after spring break, I went right back to my old ways. I was eating late night pizza every single night. I was, drinking. I wasn't doing that like temporary restrictive routine didn't last. And now, if we contrast that to the trip I took a couple weeks ago, I did no prep. I definitely wasn't Googling how to lose weight. I changed nothing about what I was eating. I kept my workouts the same. In fact, I even celebrated Easter like 2 days before we went. I had a big plate of cheesecake. And the biggest change was that I wasn't thinking twice about being in a bathing suit. Like when we booked the trip and for the entire time leading up to it, there was not once where I thought, "Ooh, I'm gonna have to be in a bathing suit in a couple weeks." Or there was no thought in the back of my mind when I was eating or exercising or, living my life. I was not like, "Ooh, should I have that? I'm about to be in a bathing suit." Or, "Ooh, should I go into like a quick little mini cut because I'm about to be in a bathing suit?" I wasn't thinking about it. There was no reason to get quote unquote bikini ready because I wasn't even worried about it. And I know some of you might be rolling your eyes a little bit and saying like, well, duh, you've already lost the weight. Like, of course, that's why you weren't worried about being in a bathing suit. And yeah, my body composition is completely different from what it was in college. I have more muscle. I'm definitely leaner. And yes, this is the most confident that I have ever felt in my body. But, and I want to be super clear about this confidence that I have in my body, this not thinking about being in a bathing suit, this confidence in the routine that I'm currently in, it did not come from losing weight. I want to be really clear about that. Let's say that one more time. My confidence in my current body did not come from losing weight. In fact, it actually came when I stopped focusing on the outcome, when I stopped focusing on weight loss, and I started to focus on the process. So when I stopped making my only goal losing weight, getting to a certain weight on the scale, only aesthetic reasons, and instead I started to think about how I wanted to eat and exercise long term, what type of eater I wanted to be, what type of exerciser I wanted to be long term, like what I wanted this to look like in my life, why these things were important to me. that is one, when I actually did lose the weight, but two, when I started to feel really confident and when I actually started to enjoy what I was doing. I started to enjoy exercise again. I started to enjoy healthy eating. And so, as we head into the second half of the year, this is the shift that I want you guys to make too. And think about this as like your mid-year reset. If things have not gone the way you expected them to this year, if you are still spinning your wheels, if you're like, yeah, I started the year with these big health and fitness goals and like nothing's changed. I'm not seeing any results. Like the scale hasn't moved. I'm still stuck in this cycle. It might be that we need to adjust your approach. And when you think about your goals for the second half of the year, I want you to stop thinking about that outcome and I want you to start to set goals that are based on the process. What does that mean? Like, what does that look like? Like, okay, yeah, it's like lovely to have these goals that are just about like feeling better. And that's not what I'm talking about here. It's just that instead of having a goal of something like, I want to lose weight, I want to get skinnier, this will solve all my problems. Like, I just want the scale to move down. When we head into the second half of the year, I want you to start to think about what are the habits and the routines that you need to put in place in order to get there. Because if you are only thinking about that end result, if you are only thinking about that number, if you are only thinking about the outcome, this process is going to be really frustrating and you're going to stay in this start stop cycle for a really long time. Because imagine if like your only motivation for doing this comes from that number, comes from weight loss. That's really hard to remember in the moment because that might feel really far off. Like remembering when it's Friday night and you just really want the cheese fries, having to tell yourself, like, oh, you know what? But I've got that weight loss goal, so I gotta like stick with it. No, our brains don't think that way. We don't care about that thing that is beneficial to us in 3 months. We care about the thing that's beneficial to us right now. So if your goals and your motivation for doing this are only based off that thing that's like 3 months down the line, it's not motivating in the moment. It's not enough to get you to pass on the cheese fries. Versus instead, if you start to fall in love with the process, if you start to think about why you're doing it, if you start to really enjoy the way that these habits and the way that you eat and the way that you exercise makes you feel, that is going to be a lot more rewarding. And you're going to start to see some of that like instant gratification as opposed to only being focused on this long-term goal. Now, what does this process like look like? That's going to be unique to you. For me, the process meant that I started to strength train instead of killing myself in the gym twice a day. The process meant that I improved my relationship with food and I realized that I didn't need to restrict. The process meant that I found healthy recipes that I really loved. And the process meant that I improved my body image. And again, remember that improving my body image did not come from losing weight. It came from the inner work. And that's something that I help my clients do. So all of those things that I just mentioned, like strength training, improving my relationship with food, finding healthy recipes that I really enjoyed, all of those things led to weight loss. But the weight loss happened when I stopped focusing only on the outcome and I just started to build a lifestyle that I really loved because all of this feels so much easier when you enjoy the process. All of this feels so much easier when you actually really enjoy your day to day. Imagine going on vacation, and this is something that I hear from my clients all the time. They go on vacation, they have a great time, and they're like, you know what? I'm excited to get back to my routine. Like my body is craving vegetables. Like I'm excited to get back to the gym. And that is how you know that you've built a lifestyle you really loved, as opposed to when you might typically go on a vacation and you are like, ugh, diet starts on Monday. Or maybe you even feel this every Sunday night. You're like, ugh, tomorrow's the day. I gotta buckle up and I can't have any of these foods I want. And I gotta say no and I gotta like grit through. That is not enjoying the process. That's not building a lifestyle. That's still dieting. And, maybe right now you feel like you've found balance, but if you're still kind of dreading the food that you eat on a regular basis, if you're still feeling like you can't enjoy foods that you love, if you feel like you can't enjoy social events, you're probably not building a lifestyle. You're probably still dieting, and you're probably still a little tuned into the outcome as opposed to the process. So I want you to really think about that as we head into the second half of the year. What is not the outcome you want? What is the process that's going to help you get there? Uh, and one that you feel like you can stick to, whether you're motivated or not, whether you're stressed or not, whether you're on vacation or not. Habits that leave you feeling so good that you want to keep them up. And if you've been trying to lose weight for a while and you want to build a lifestyle like this, but it feels like something isn't clicking, you can't quite get there. You thought you had balance, but after listening to this, you're like, something is not right. I am not feeling like I enjoy my day-to-day process here. If that's the case, you are probably missing a key piece of the puzzle that makes this sustainable. You want to build a lifestyle, but you're just not sure what this looks like for you. That's what one-on-one coaching is for. I'm here to give you the strategy and the support that you need so that the second half of the year looks different than the first. Now, if you've been crushing it this year, the scale just keeps climbing down, you have no food guilt, you don't have food noise, then you probably don't need me. You don't need the support. You're crushing it on your own. But if you don't feel that way, then it might be time for a change, and it might be time to stop trying to do this alone. And if that's the case, I'm here to help. You can apply for coaching in my in the show notes. I'd love to work with you and just chat about how we can get you to this place of not being so outcome focused and really fall in love with this process and fall in love with feeling good. So just to cap it all together, if you are trying to lose weight and keep it off this year, we need to make a shift. We need to stop focusing on the outcome. We need to start focusing on the process, the habits, the behaviors, the deeper mindset work that is going to allow you to make sure your progress actually sticks long term. So that is all I've got for you guys today. Don't forget, I pick one person every single month who leaves a review or shares this on their stories to win a free health and fitness audit every single month. So if this episode was helpful, share it with a friend. Go through this journey together. You don't have to do it alone. That's all I've got for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.